Hello, welcome back, high-level listeners. This is episode 20 of our advanced English podcast series at High Level Listening. Episode 20 also means it is the final episode of season 1.
So the end of season 1 means that we have made 20 amazing advanced podcast episodes about all kinds of useful daily topics. And it also means that it's time to announce something very exciting that we've been working on behind the scenes.
Yes, we're very excited to announce the launch of our season 1 study guide, which has loads of extra videos, extra audio, and extra study materials from season 1 of our advanced podcasts. So this would include brand new videos with all of the 200 vocabulary terms that we've used throughout season 1. There'll be 400 new example sentences as well. There'll be listening and speaking exercises, downloadable video content with no ads, and much more.
Also, an extra thank you to our members here on YouTube. High-level listener members can also get a special discount on our study guide and our study pack. You can find all the information about the Season 1 study pack in the description below this video.
Okay, so let's get back to today's class. Today we're going to discuss the topic of getting back to work after a break. Maybe you've had a long weekend, maybe you've had a holiday, or maybe you've just come back from a little time away. We'll give you some useful phrases and vocabulary in both American and British English to help you talk about getting back to work and getting back into the swing of things.
So, just as a quick introduction, I'm Kat, your American voice here at High Level Listening. I'll be diving into how we talk about returning to work in the United States, including the challenges and strategies that we use to get back into the swing of things.
And I'm Mark, the British voice of High Level Listening. I'll be using vocabulary that you're more likely to hear and use in the United Kingdom.
For all of our high-level listener members wanting a word-for-word rate breakdown, don't forget we offer members-only PDF transcripts, and we'll be offering that special discount as well for our Season 1 study pack, just to say thank you for being a member. Check out the membership tab and click join to get all the goodies.
So in this episode, like always, we'll each share what it's like for us getting back to work after a bit of time off. Both our scripts will be roughly the same in meaning, but as we said, Kat's will be a little bit more American and mine will be a little bit more British.
After we share our insights, we'll break down all of our favorite phrases and vocabulary from each script, giving you explanations and examples so that you can start to talk about your own experiences of returning to work with more detail and confidence.
So let's get started. I'll ask Kat first. How do you handle getting back to work after a break?
You'd think after a 3-day break from work, I'd feel rejuvenated, but that following workday is sort of the opposite. When I first walk back into the office, it's nice to get up to speed with my coworkers and see how their break went. As I settle back into my desk, I realize that past Kat put off a whole bunch of work last Friday before the break, and now I have some catching up to do. It can feel a little daunting, but you've just got to get started, right? By the time I'm done clearing the backlog of emails and projects, I feel myself getting back into the swing of things. It's a step-by-step process, but by the end of the day, I'm 100% back up and running. So that was my perspective of how I handle getting back to work after a break. What about you, Mark? How do you handle getting back to work after a break?
Getting back to the grind, even after just a bank holiday, it definitely takes a few hours to get back into the swing of things. I do the usual exchanges with my workmates about how the holiday was, and then head over to my desk. And there I even struggle to remember the basics, like my computer login or where all the folders are on my work computer. Then there's the shock of the backlog waiting for me, all those tasks that I'd put off until later. So I start to wade through emails and updates, trying to figure out what I was doing the week before. But bit by bit, I start chipping away at it, and by the end of the day, I'm back into the flow and up to speed again. So those are our two scripts. Like we said, we'll go through each of our scripts now, step by step. We'll start at the beginning of the script and then go through to the end. So, Kat, what's it like when you go back to work after a break?
Well, you'd think that after a 3-day break from work, I'd feel rejuvenated, but that following workday is sort of the opposite. It's kind of like, yeah, we get a day off work. Yeah, that should make us feel more energized and like we had a nice day off work. We should be back at work feeling good. But sometimes I notice that it's actually the opposite. So you'd think after a 3-day break from work, I'd feel rejuvenated. I would feel rejuvenated. This is because we're thinking of something that hasn't actually happened. So you'd think, or you'd imagine that after a 3-day break, I would feel rejuvenated, but that's actually not the case for me. So after a 3-day break, a 3-day weekend, a 3-day holiday, this usually includes the weekends off, especially in the United States. We often have a Monday holiday. So if Mark usually calls them a bank holiday or kind of a national holiday or a federal holiday. That means that we get the day off of work. That's the government tells us. We often have that on a Monday, which means that Saturday, Sunday, Monday, that's a 3-day weekend, a 3-day break, or a 3-day holiday. Now, I sometimes get this question from our students, and why do we say 3-day break, not 3 days break? And it's because we've turned the word day into an adjective. So what kind of break is it? It's a 3-day break. What kind of weekend is it? It's a 3-day weekend. We use this for a lot of different things too. A 5-year-old child, a 2-week-old baby, a 3-day holiday, a 2-month summer break. So when we change this word to an adjective describing how long the break is, we're going to drop that S because we've turned it into an adjective. So finally, let's see what I said at the end. But that following workday is sort of the opposite. Now, I'm speaking very generally here. So it could be, the following day, the following workday. That means the day right after whatever we're talking about. So if we talked about a 3-day weekend, the following workday is the day right after the 3-day weekend ends. Now, sometimes that's a Tuesday. Sometimes we come back from Christmas holiday. It's a Wednesday. Sometimes we come back on a completely different day. That's why I would say the very next day or the following day, which would mean just about the same thing. All right. So, Mark, what about for you? What's it like when you go back to work after a break?
Getting back to the grind, even after just a bank holiday, it definitely takes a few hours to get back into the swing of things. So there are 3 things we'll highlight here. Getting back to the grind. The grind. You might see this on Instagram. It's quite a trendy social media word. Mm-hmm. Here, I'm saying the grind is work. And it's my typical work schedule. The Monday to Friday, the 9 to 5 schedule. Grind, it has a kind of negative implication. It sounds like it's difficult and it's hard and it's sort of painful, but we often apply this to work. I also see this on like fitness accounts. Going to the gym is the grind. So it's this hard, difficult work, but you can use it even if you work in an office because it is that same routine. After a holiday, maybe you're not super excited to go back to work. So the work might look like a grind. Going back to that routine might be difficult. As Kat said, yeah, we have bank holidays in the UK. A bank holiday, you get 8 of those every year if you're in England. Scotland and Ireland get more, which is unfair, but we get 8, and it's always a Monday. It's always Monday off. So there are bank holiday Mondays. They're spread kind of randomly throughout the year, and it means you get a 3-day weekend if you work in an office. If you work in a restaurant or a supermarket, you will probably still work because everyone else has a day off. But bank holidays means office jobs like banks, post offices, and places like that are closed. So maybe we've had a bank holiday and now we need to get back to the grind, and it takes a while to get back into the swing of things. To get back into the swing of things is to get comfortable, to get familiar, and get good at it again. After many, many, many weeks of working in the same office, doing the same job, you get quite comfortable and you naturally do your tasks. But then if you take a break, even if it's just a couple of days, you suddenly forget. You forget how to talk to your colleagues. You forget your passwords. Where is that button on my laptop? And so you have to get back into the swing of things. You have to remember it and get back to your level before. And so for me, that takes a couple of hours or maybe the whole day. And we'll talk more about that later. So, next question. When you get back to work, do you catch up or chat with any of your co-workers?
Yeah, when I first walk back into the office, it's nice to get up to speed with my coworkers and see how their break went. When I first walk back into the office, okay, so you parked your car, hopefully you remembered where your keys were. You walk back into the office. Okay, it's that Tuesday morning. Just trying to get back into the swing of things. It's nice to get up to speed with my coworkers. To get up to speed is similar to catch up. So if you have these tasks you need to do and you're a little behind, you need to catch up. This is the same idea. Catch up or get up to speed. So something is ahead of you, you need to get up to speed, get on the same level. So it's nice to get up to speed with my coworkers. We receive updates, we learn new information about work, we are getting up to speed. And also, since I'm getting up to speed with my coworkers, I also want to see how their break went. See how their break went. Now, I'm not physically looking but I'm asking them, I'm finding out information. Sometimes people will say, oh, I don't know the answer to that. Let me see. Let me see. Let me look into it. Let me look at this information. Let me see. Let's see. Let's see. So we actually use that verb to see to kind of talk more actually about finding out about their break. Now, you can see that I said how their break went. How their breaks went. Now, I think of a break as something that we all share. Our break. This is our break from work. This is our time off from work. I'm also replacing the word his or her. I know that a lot of students feel like they need to say his or her break, his or her book. Whose book is this? It's his or her book. But in reality, this is kind of a simple rule that we break pretty much all the time in English. I would say their break, meaning maybe my colleague is a man, maybe my colleague is a woman. His break, her break, their break. We actually use they as a single pronoun here. So their break. How was her break? How was his break? How was their break? Because we don't always know if our coworkers are men or women. And so this is an easy word to use that does break a little bit of a grammar rule there.
Yeah, so it belongs to them. Or, how are they? Oh, they are good. I'm talking about one person. But yeah, if it's not important if they're male or female, it's also handy if you've got like two words, like a male profession, a waiter and a waitress. If you want to avoid those different nouns for male and female, just use they and it catches everyone in one word.
Can you give an example of that?
So if I was at a restaurant and I was talking about the waiter or waitress, I would say, yeah, they were super nice. They brought the food over really quickly, and they got a big tip from us. So yeah, it's not important if it's a waiter or a waitress. Just say they. You can cover everybody.
I think also it makes you feel like you have a little bit more of a connection with a person than just saying the server. The server was
Mm,
really good. I would say, yeah, they were really good. It feels a little bit more informal as well.
mm.
Now, I want to ask you a quick question. Do you usually use the word coworkers or do you prefer the word colleagues? Or is there a reason you use one or the other?
I think in the UK, you're more likely to hear colleagues. Co-workers was a new word or a new concept for me when I went to Korea. That was the first time that everyone around me was saying co-workers. And
Uh,
that's, I think, mainly because American English influences Korea the most. But in
Interesting.
the UK, colleagues,
Okay.
or in the UK, in my script, I said I do the usual exchanges with my workmates. So colleagues, workmates. Just like classmates, roommates, teammates, workmates. Those are people who work in my same team or same office.
And
It,
definitely more British, because I would say maybe my work friends, but I wouldn't probably say my workmates as something like classmates, something as common as that. So I wouldn't use that in American English.
right. It's funny because mates, workmates, mate doesn't mean that we're friends
I see.
necessarily. We're just like classmates. You have
Right,
classmates, but
right.
you're not friends with all of them.
Uh-huh.
They're just
Okay,
in
I
your
see.
class. It's the same thing. So
I
maybe
see.
we don't really like each other, but he's my workmate. I have to get
Oh,
on with him.
I would assume, or I did assume that you meant someone that you're friends with at work, because we probably, yeah, workmates, cube mates, is kind of popular, but that's someone that you would share a cubicle with. And
Mm.
so, but I would think that the easiest one is just coworkers, especially for Americans. It pretty much covers everybody. Colleagues, I think we're probably at the same level. Maybe we are sharing, maybe we're both teachers. So we don't necessarily work at the same company, but like you said, you worked with other teachers and you called them coworkers. So it's probably the much more common word and the easiest word to use in American English.
Yeah, so when I get back from my break, I do the usual exchanges with my workmates about how the holiday was, and then head over to my desk. So the usual exchanges. Exchanges here is a conversation between me and a workmate. So when you share words, exchange words, you can call that interaction an exchange. But because we're coming back from a holiday, when we come back, we always seem to ask the same questions. After Christmas, we ask the same questions. Oh, how was it? Did you get any good presents? Was it nice? And you come back from after New Year. Oh, how was your New Year? Did you do anything nice? And you ask the same questions. So the usual exchange. You might also see this phrase, polite exchange is a polite conversation. A professional exchange is a polite one. If you watch any sports, you might hear a heated exchange. Two players shouting at each other is like an argument. So an exchange is a conversation or interaction between people. So yeah, I do the usual questions, the usual conversation with my workmates. So, what is the hardest thing about getting back to work?
As I settle back into my desk, I realize that past Cat put off a whole bunch of work last Friday before the break, and now I have some catching up to do. Now, this idea that I was a different person before the break. Okay, no, that was past Cat. That was past me making trouble for future me. So we do kind of joke around a little bit, saying that before the break, you think, oh, the break is coming up. It's Friday afternoon, before a big break, before a 3-day holiday. Oh man, like there's nobody in the office. I'll just push that back. Tuesday. I'll deal with it Tuesday. I'm sure future me will just love this. I'm sure that future me will be so re-energized from a 3-day break that it won't be a problem at all. So we do use this. You can either say past Mark, past Kat, or past me, past you. That means the person you were 3 or 4 days ago, who you were in the past, which that's why it's kind of funny because, I mean, past me really did think that it would be okay for me to do this on Tuesday instead of doing the work the other day.
Right, so all the past decisions or the bad decisions you made in the past, you can always
Yes.
blame. I can always blame past Mark. Oh,
Yes.
past Mark made a stupid decision, or past Mark thought that I could finish this in 30 minutes. So if you ever make a mistake or a bad decision, you can blame your past self. Now your current self has to deal with it.
That was me. That was me in the past. Kat, that was last week. I know. That was the old me. This is the new me now.
Yes, I was young. I was young and stupid.
I was so
didn't know.
young and stupid last week. So let's look at a couple of the phrases here as I settle back into my desk. So if you kind of are going swimming and you kick up the dirt at the bottom of the water, right? So all of the items will need some time to settle. Okay, so if there's a bunch of dust on the road and you need time to settle. So we're going to settle back into your chair, settle back into your desk, and that's kind of feeling comfortable and getting back and getting ready to work. I realized that past Kat put off a few things. If you put something off, then you are delaying it or pushing it back. Now remember, this was the Friday before the break. I was feeling a little tired. Nobody was really in the office. Instead of finishing it, I pushed it back or I put it off, meaning I delayed it. I made it to where I'm going to do it later. Okay, so I put it off. I pushed it back. I was delaying it for a later time. Now, I said put off a whole bunch of work, like a lot of work. So this is just kind of to let you know that it wasn't just a few tasks. It was actually a whole bunch of work, which is a kind of a common way to say a lot of work or lots of work. Now, remember, work is uncountable. So I would say a bunch of work, lots of work, but I wouldn't say many. I wouldn't say many works. I could say many tasks, but I'll be honest, we don't use the word many all that often. Many jobs to do, many tasks to do. I would probably just say I have lots of tasks to do. I have lots of work to do. That's just more common. So we usually replace the word many with lots of, because you could say lots of work, lots of milk, lots of tasks. It can be countable or uncountable, which makes it really easy to use.
Yeah, easy English hack.
Yes. Yes. And then the final thing I said, and now I have some catching up to do. Now I have some catching up to do. The probably more direct sentence would be, I need to catch up on some work. I need to catch up on some work. Then we could change it to, I need to do some catching up. And why is this different? I feel like catching up is not just something that happens immediately. I need to catch up on a project. Okay, that happens very quickly. Catching up, anytime we add ing, it feels more like an activity that you're doing over time. So I have a lot of catching up to do. I have some catching up to do. I need to do some catching up. sounds like a process that you're going to be actively doing over time instead of just, I need to catch up. Oh, I'm caught up. Done and done. All right. So, what about you, Mark? What's the hardest thing about getting back to work?
I even struggle to remember the basics, like my computer login or where all the folders are on my work computer. And then there's the shock of the backlog waiting for me, all those tasks I'd put off until later. So I struggle to remember the basics. The basics of my job are the simplest, most basic, simplest, easiest tasks.
We
Like,
forget them.
Sure, even the basics of using a PC is log in, that's a basic skill. Join a meeting, that's a basic skill. Turn on the webcam. Sometimes
Did you
people
forget how to do everything?
Yeah, or unmute the mic, and you're like, wait, where is the button? Where? Oh, sorry. It's funny how quickly you forget all these basic little skills. If I go to the bank and if I try to think about my PIN number too hard, I forget it. It's like I just need to do it naturally. And the same when you come back to work, you think about it, and it becomes more difficult to think about because you're out of practice. You need to get back into the swing of things. So even the basics, I forget. And the main thing is the backlog waiting for me on my desk. So the backlog is the build-up of old tasks that I haven't done yet. So imagine we had Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off. So we get back to the office on Tuesday. Any tasks from Friday that I didn't finish yet, they are in the backlog. The backlog is work that is maybe behind schedule, work that you really should get finished first before you take on any new tasks. So sometimes with Monday off, maybe you have a team in another country who didn't have a holiday. So the team in Germany were working like normal and sending you stuff to do, but everyone in England was off. So this big backlog builds up and gets taller on your desk. So when you come back to work, there is a backlog, these old tasks you have to do. And I actually used the same phrase that Kat did earlier. It's all those tasks that I'd put off until later. So put off, again, to delay them, avoid them, push them back and do them later. In an office, people might say, oh, let's put it off till tomorrow. Let's go and have a coffee. Or the next day, when you have to do the task, you're like, ugh, I put it off yesterday. Now I really have to finish it. So yes, when you don't want to do something, you can put it off until later, but you have to do it eventually. So you've got a lot of work to do as well. How do you get started on it?
It can feel a little daunting, but I've just got to get started, right? Got to get started somewhere. So it can feel a little daunting. Daunting is it can feel a little overwhelming. You know, I thought I would be energized. I thought this day would be, start off on the right foot, just feeling really good, back to work. But because it was kind of the opposite, I'm not as energized as I thought. Like you said, you forget just basic, things that like your password and things like that. So it can feel a little daunting. You think, oh gosh, okay, I have this, like I have this backlog. I have these things that I put off, and it can feel a little overwhelming. It can feel a little daunting, a little scary. We often use the word like something is hanging over your head. Maybe your boss really needs something done and you've got this backlog. You can't start fresh today. You've got to finish all these other tasks, but you've just got to get started. I've just got to get started, right? So when I say I've just gotta, GOTTA, I've just gotta get started. What I mean is, I have just got to get started. In other words, I must get started.
You have to.
I've just got to get started. I just have to. I've just got to get started.
I think that's the
So,
most American part of your script, I think.
oh, really?
There's a bit of overlap in this one, but this is the most American bit. Because we don't say that in the UK.
No?
I
What would you
just
say?
have to. I just have to get
I just
started.
have to get started.
Yeah. I can't say you've gotta.
You've gotta.
I
Gotta.
do an American accent to say.
Godda.
Yeah. Right? And then you gotta listen to me.
You
I
gotta
can
do
just hear
it. You gotta do
movies.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
In England, yeah, you have to. You just have to get started. Yeah.
Ah, that's so funny. Okay, I didn't realize that was so, but it's the Gotta and the American accent, gotta, because you would say gotta. You'd have to
Yeah,
really
but-
force that T sound in there to make it sound, but
Right.
we go really quickly. You've got to do it. Oh, you've got to go to this new restaurant. Oh, you've got to get that work done. You've just got to get started.
Right. Yeah, we'd have to double T. We'd have to do the glottal stop and say, I might say, I've got to go. I've got
Gotta.
gotta. Yeah, I've got to go. Or maybe with the D sound. Yeah, I've got to go. I've got to get started. I've got to run. And these all sound quite American to me.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's so
I have
funny.
to go. Yeah, I have to get
I
started.
have to go. I have to. I have to.
I simply have to. I simply must.
have to. All right. So what about you? When you've got all this work to do, you've got all this work to do. How do you get started?
I start to wade through emails and updates, trying to figure out what I was doing the week before. Bit by bit, I start chipping away at it. So the first word is to wade. Wade through emails and updates. Wade literally. If I wade through a river, I wade through very deep water. Like water is up to my hips or up to my chest, and I'm walking through it very slowly, and it's quite tiring and difficult. Here, the water is emails, messages, and tasks. I am up to my neck in emails, so I have to wade through and read lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of emails, and it's quite tiring and it takes a lot of time. So it's like wading through water. I have to wade through information, wade through all the old messages. So when I come back on Tuesday, there's a lot of messages waiting for me. Going through them is wading through them. It's this long, arduous process. But bit by bit, so little by little or step by step, in this case, email by email, I slowly start to make progress. I start chipping away. So, yeah, to chip at something, imagine there's a piece of wood or something, and I'm going to slowly chip away and take small pieces away until it is smaller or a different shape. So if you chip away, you do lots and lots of little steps, and over time, you do start to make a big impact, or you do start to make a big difference. So kind of step by step, you chip away at it. So read an email, just check a document, open the spreadsheet. Those are all little chips. Those are little tasks that eventually start to handle the big stuff. So I start chipping away at it, and after a couple of hours, I start to get through it. So, do you ever start feeling back to normal, or how quickly do you start feeling normal again?
Well, by the time I'm done clearing the backlog of emails and projects, I feel myself getting back into the swing of things. I think this might be the 5th or 6th time that we've said the swing of things, back into the swing of things. It's just such a common phrase. Mark talked about it earlier. It's just getting back to normal, getting back into the comfortable, fluid, efficient way of doing something. So by the time I'm done, by the time I am done doing something, That means when I arrive at this time, when I finish doing this task, by the time I'm done clearing the backlog, Mark talked about the backlog, all of those older items. This is a good phrase to use with this word, clear the backlog. All of those tasks in a row, check, 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 done with all the old tasks. By the time I'm done clearing the backlog of emails and projects, I feel myself getting back into the swing of things. I feel myself, I feel my body, I feel me, I feel myself getting back into it. Over time, I'm slowly doing better, step by step, bit by bit, getting back into it, getting back to where I was before the break. So what about you, Mark? How do you feel by the end of the day?
By the end of the day, I'm back into the flow and up to speed again. So again, two phrases here. I'm back into the flow. Again, this is another way to say I'm feeling comfortable and familiar with my job, the routine, the software that I'm using. It's all feeling comfortable again. I'm back into the flow. The flow is the routine, the familiarity. Like I can remember people's names, I can remember details, I remember passwords, or I remember any technical terms. So after a couple of hours of being surrounded by it, I get back into the flow and it feels easy and comfortable again. The second phrase with a similar meaning is, by the end of the day, I'm up to speed again. I'm up to speed. Up to speed means that I can do my job efficiently. Like I can do the tasks on time or quickly and professionally. With a holiday or with a little break, your speed, your efficiency goes down. You forget little buttons, you forget little details, but then you go back to work and your speed went up again. So
Yep.
I'm up to speed again. I can find
I
things
use
quickly.
this one too.
Right, there you go. Yeah, the folder. Okay, it's over here. That program. Yep, it's open. I don't need anyone else's help, and you can trust me to finish my work on time because I am up to speed. You might also hear this phrase used when you have a new colleague. If someone new joins your team, someone might train them and bring them up to speed. So give them the knowledge, the tools, or the practice to do their job efficiently, on time, or quickly enough. So yeah, by the end of the day, I'm back into the flow and I'm up to speed again. I am comfortable and I'm efficient. So, yes, how do you feel by the end of your day?
It's a step-by-step process, but by the end of the day, I'm 100% back up and running. So we often talk about ourselves like a robot or a battery. And when we talk about I'm at 100%, I'm 100% back up. We do rejuvenate, recharge, re-energize. We often talk about these like we're a battery. 100% is feeling great, healthy. We even talked about this in our getting sick episode. I'm not really feeling 100%. I'm back to 100%, meaning maybe I was hovering around 70% when I walked in the door. Like Mark forgot all of his passwords. We weren't really functioning at 100%. But by the end of the day, I'm 100% back up and running, up and running. Now, if a machine is running, if something is running, that means that it is moving, it's turned on. Okay, so it's not just about physically running, but if you are up and running, if you are up to speed, then you are not physically running around the office, but you are just functioning normally. You are working normally, up and running. Just like Mark said, we are working efficiently. We're working, at our best pace possible, especially after such a lovely holiday. And we wish we were still there, but so it's a step-by-step process. minute by minute, day by day, step by step, little by little. That's talking about that gradual process. It's not an on-off button. It is a step by step. Don't try to leap forward. Just take it step by step. Especially when you're learning a new language, when you're learning English, you are not going to be fluent in a day. It is a step-by-step gradual process, especially when you're at the advanced level, like most of our students. You don't change from intermediate to advanced in a day. That is a long, gradual process because learning a language is a lifetime commitment, if I'm honest.
Right, it's got to keep chipping away, little by little.
Little by little.
Yeah.
So that's it for us. Season 1 is a wrap. We are finished up with season 1. How exciting for everyone here. We are blown away by the wonderful, wonderful comments, the sheer number of subscribers, everyone who has joined as a high-level listening member. We are so thankful to you guys for making our passion kind of become a reality. We've been teachers for 10, 12 years, each of us. So over 20 years of experience. That sounds a little crazy, but we are so excited that we've been working on materials, and we are really excited to launch our season 1 study guide because we get questions all the time about phrases, example sentences, and we want to give you the best materials possible so that you feel like you can study along and you can really feel like you are reviewing and getting all this information and kind of making sure that some of it sticks.
Yes. Yeah, we've listened to a lot of your feedback and comments and questions, and we've tried to take that into account into the study pack. So some people find the episodes quite overwhelming, or there's a lot of vocabulary, and that's fair. So in the study pack, we'll have exercises to help you focus on words and hear them repeated more times with more examples, so they will stick in your memory a little bit longer. We are called high-level listening, so there are some listening activities in the study pack as well. That was another comment that we saw. So we really appreciate the suggestions. They make the programs better. They make the episodes better. So thank you again. Yeah, it's been an amazing season. We expected season 1 to just be the practice one, where no one would watch. And now suddenly we have so many subscribers and fans already. It's been amazing. And season 2 is not far away. We're not taking a long break. We'll be back with season 2 very, very soon. So thank you, everyone. And we will see you again very soon.
Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you very soon. Bye.